Hello, guys and gals, and welcome. So today we're going to be going over another one of the mechanics or the systems within Diablo 4 that has changed over many seasons, and this one is the boss mechanic system. So the bosses in Diablo 4 are very specific bosses in very specific areas that can be spawned with a very specific set of materials. For those of you who played Diablo 2 and remember the Uber Tristram, which is where you had to farm specific keys from specific bosses, and then once you farmed the specific keys from those specific bosses, you transmuted them, and then you were able to, create portals, which you then killed the mini bosses, which dropped you organs, and those organs would then drop you like you could use those organs to spawn a bigger portal, which would take you to the more, like the Uber bosses, right, in Uber Tristram. The system is essentially identical to that system in that it allows you to farm the specific materials, and then killing the specific mini bosses gives you other materials, which you can then use to farm the greater bosses, essentially. And in my inventory now, I have basically all of the materials that are currently available for this. Now, some of these have been retired. Let me go over really quickly the ones that have been retired that are no longer useful, because I do want to make sure that you guys understand which ones are not useful. So the gurgling heads are no longer useful. We can't make any more gurgling head jokes. If you do have any left over, you can convert them into malignant hearts, which is the only thing that is used in summoning Varshan at this point. Same thing with the blackened femurs and the trembling hands. All of these are obsolete and can be converted at the alchemist for the new material, which is malignant hearts only. The Shard of Agony, sorry, not the Shard of Agony. The Stygian Stones are also no longer useful. They used to be used to spawn the tormented versions of the bosses. But now, because of Season 6 and the way that they're changing things, the boss will be determined, the difficulty of the boss will be determined by the difficulty that you're in. So when you spawn him in Torment 1, he will be a Torment 1 boss, and when you spawn him in Torment 4, he will be a Torment 4 boss, and so forth and so on, scaling with the difficulty of the content that you're doing. This means that Stygian Stones are just not useful. I have not been able to find out what exactly is going to happen to the Stygian Stones that are currently in people's hands. With these, they let you convert them into malignant hearts. Maybe they will let us convert these into various materials. I'm not entirely sure. However, they will no longer be dropping in Season 6, and they will only exist essentially in the Eternal Realm at this point. Now, as far as the bosses go, there are quite a few of them, and I'm going to take you around the map here, and I'm going to show you where every single boss is, so that you know where to go to spawn them. Grigore, the Living Steel, is right here. He is just south of Kedbar-Du and the Hall of the Penitent. If you're looking for Beast in the Ice is just south of Kyovashad, right here in the Glacial Fissure. He used to be a nightmare dungeon that you had to create, and now he has been converted into an actual dungeon that you do, in fact, go to. So keep that in mind. Duriel, which is one of the ones that requires more mats than the others because you have to kill 2 different bosses to get to Duriel. So Duriel's mats are the Shard of Agony, which comes from Grigore, and the Mucus Slick Egg, which comes from Varshan. And I'll highlight those really quickly as well. So Varshan is right here by the tree. So if you look for the Tree of Whispers, Varshan is right here in the Malignant Burrow. And if you look for Grigore, that is the one that I'm currently at right now, which is the one that drops the Shard of Agony. Once you have the Shard of Agony, 2 of the Shard of Agony and 2 of the Mucus Slick Eggs, you can go here to Duriel's Gaping Crevasse, insert giggity jokes, and you can spawn Duriel, which will drop you some pretty interesting loot as well. There is also Lord Zir. Lord Zir uses the Bloods at the Darkened Way. He is right here. And then there is Andariel. Andariel is right here, and Andariel uses 2 specific items as well. One is the chains, the Sandstorm Shackles, and the other one is the Pincushion Doll. The Pincushion Doll and the Sandstorm Shackle are right here. So this is the Pincushion Doll. The Pincushion Doll drops specifically from the Glacial Ice, and the Sandstorm Shackles drop specifically from the... I'm going to remember here. The Lord's Hall, so Lord Zir. So basically, how this works is you're going to go throughout the world in HellTides in various places, and you're going to be farming these materials. Each one of the materials drops from very specific places, although there are a lot more places that you can get them now than you could before. For instance, with the Living Steel, they mainly drop from HellTides, but you can also get them from randomly from elites, local events, treasure goblins, whisper caches, hellborns, and blood maidens. The distilled fears, which are used to spawn the beast in the ice, mainly come from nightmare dungeons. However, you can also get them randomly from elites, treasure goblins, local events, whisper caches, hellborns, and blood maidens. The exquisite bloods, which are actually very popular this season because of the fractured winter glass, mainly drop from like vampire monsters, hellborn, and some other interesting things. Although you can also get them from elites, local events, treasure goblins, whisper caches, and hellborns. You're going to be stockpiling these things. Malignant hearts come from world bosses, as well as basically all whisper events and whisper caches. And the really interesting thing is that when you complete a whisper, there is a high probability that a special monster known as a I can't remember the name right off the top of my head. A malignant monster will spawn as a result of completing the whisper, and when you kill them, there's a very good chance they will drop a heart or two. You can also get these randomly from elites of treasure goblins, events, hellborns, and blood maidens. Now, once you have these and you go and run these for your specific respective bosses, you then obtain the other materials. So, for instance, with the Duriel, you're going to obtain the Mucus Slick Egg and the Shard of Agony from the Varshan, which is the Malignant Hearts. So I can put these underneath of each other so you can kind of see this better. So the Malignant Hearts will give you the Mucus Lake Eggs. The Shards of Agony will come from the Living Steels. The Pincushion Dolls are coming from the Distilled Fears, and the Sandshorn Stackles are coming from the Exquisite Bloods. But that's not all. There's definitely more to go over when it comes to the boss system, and we're going to talk about that next.
Mr. Goody Two Shoes, Mr. Goody Two Shoes. Ginger Evil Mentor here. Why bother farming when you can go to MMOEXP.com and simply purchase your items in gold? GGM would have you farm the items. What a pathetic being. Use code GEM Ginger Evil Mentor for 6% off your entire purchase. And don't tell Ginger Gaming Mentor that I was here.
All right, so first off, let's go over the cost of each individual boss in the new system so that you guys are aware of how much you're going to need to spawn these bosses. So Varshan, because of the squish of his materials, he used to cost 4 different materials, and now he only costs 1. So to spawn Varshan, you are going to need 4 Malignant Hearts, which is a lot more than what you needed before. Now, these actually might change because I'm going off of PTR values. So these are the public test realm values, and they may have changed slightly from the public test realm values, so do forgive me. But hopefully they are lining up correctly. Grigore, which is the one that I'm doing right now, he will be costing 4x Living Steel in the future. We also have Lord Zir. Lord Zir is going to cost 12 Exquisite Blood. I don't know why he is so much more expensive than the others. Beast in the Ice is 12 Distilled Fear. And then we also have Duriel, which is 2 eggs and 2 shards. And then we have Andariel. Andariel is 2 shackles and 2 pincushion dolls, so 2 dolls. This is the general requirements unless they change things. So if you are looking to spawn these at any point during the season, you're definitely going to need a certain amount of materials to get the most out of them. Because Stygian, the Stygian stones are gone, and also the requirement of the multipliers, you don't need as many as you did before. So you're going to definitely have a lot of materials depending on how they're dropping. Now, the next part of this, which is very important, is target farming specific bosses for specific loot. Now, if we go over to Diablo4.life, which is a website that I am affiliated with, the tools section, you will find a target farming uniques here. In the target farming unique section, you're going to be able to see which bosses drop which specific items. And the purpose of the bosses is they give you a very good opportunity to farm specific pieces of equipment. Like, for instance, let's say I am a Spiritborn, and I want to get access to the Sepon Totk staff. Well, the Sepon Totk staff has a very specific place that it drops from, and it will be in here eventually. But let's use a different item like Temerity for the time being. Temerity has Lord Zir. So Lord Zir is the specific boss that you can go to get yourself a Temerity, and you can farm him repeatedly to try and get that. If I wanted to get myself a pair of Penitent Greaves, you'll see that they come from either Lord Zir or Grigore, the Galvanic Saint. Now, in the Season 6, they are refining down the total number of drops to be more specific to each boss. Those changes are in the patch notes, and I could pull those up really quickly. Basically, what is happening with the drops is they're really just kind of removing the duplicate drops between different bosses. And here we go. So this is the list of drops that they are changing, and hopefully by the time the season comes out, all this will be updated. But let's go ahead and find Grigore. As you can see here, all unique items now have a single boss for target farming. So if the item dropped from 2 bosses previously, it now only drops from 1 now. They're not removing like Romolani's Magnum Opus from dropping, but it will no longer drop from 2 bosses. Instead, it's only going to drop from 1 of them. In this particular case with Romolani's Magnum Opus, it was dropping from Grigore and Lord Zir. So now it only drops from Lord Zir, and they took it away from Grigore. This is to make it easier for you to target farm specific uniques, as opposed to having to cycle through large numbers of uniques on the same boss, because it was getting a little bit convoluted with the sheer number of uniques that were dropping from each individual boss, that were all duplicate. You would go to one boss and get like 1,000 Ancient Oaths, and then you would go to another boss and get 1,000 Ancient Oaths, all while you were trying to get some completely different unique item. As for the Spiritborn himself, I do have a list for you guys of where the Spiritborn's uniques are going to be dropping, and let me pull that up for you real quick as well. So this is a list of the Spiritborn unique places, and we will have this in the unique target farming tool before the season launches. So as you can see here, Andariel and Duriel are going to drop the Sepon Totk and the Rod of Kepeleke. The Beast in the Ice is going to drop the Scorn of the Earth, the Wound Drinker, and the Harmony of Ebewaka. The Grigore boss is going to drop Protection of the Prime, Peacemonger's Signet, Ring of the Midnight Sun, and Loyalty's Mantle. Lord Zir is going to be dropping the Jacinth Shell, Wushe Nakpa, and the Band of the First Breath. And Varshan is going to be dropping Craze of Death of the Dead God, Ring of Writhing Moon, and Ring of Midday Hunt. The last thing that I want to go over with this is how do you spawn them? Well, you have to go to the actual location where they are located at. For instance, in this particular case, I am in the Hall of the Penitent, and this is the altar. The altar is the altar. Is going to show me the living steel here, and I'm going to summon the Grigore with the living steel. When you kill Grigore, he's going to drop specific materials, and let's just go ahead and kill him real quick. Do forgive the slow speed of the kill. This is not a leveled or like set up character anymore. This is like the first character that I made in season 0. Surprisingly, he's still able to kill the level 75 version of Grigore, which is kind of funny, especially when I'm just standing here doing pretty much nothing. I can't even remember how he's set up. I think he's set up as a Bone Spear / Minion Necromancer from like a really long time ago. He's still using like legacy items, because I haven't had the heart to like delete him or set him up properly. But when you kill Grigore, he's going to drop you obviously the loot. And one of the things that they changed in the newest version of the season 6 and also season 5 is that instead of having to leave like in the past, you had to actually leave the dungeon, reset the dungeon, come back in, and you had to go through this whole rigmarole to keep summoning the boss. Now you no longer have to do this. When you kill him, instead of having to resummon the boss multiple times, or leaving the game, resetting, resummoning, and doing all that crazy dance, you can now just simply resummon him directly from the dungeon without resetting it. It will just simply pop the altar back up, which is really nice. So you can see the altar just simply came back, and you can summon him again. So this is something that you can definitely look forward to, is the ability to just simply summon the boss repeatedly over and over and over again. And they are going to be a lot more difficult in Season 6, because they're going to scale with your difficulty. So when you hit Torment 1 and you summon one of these guys, he's going to be a Torment 1 version. When you hit Torment 2, he's going to be a Torment 2 version. When you hit Torment 3, he's going to be a Torment 3 version. And Torment 4 will be the Torment 4 version, which is going to be a lot harder than the Torment 1, obviously. Now, when you up the Torment, you are going to get increased drop chances for Mythic Uniques as well. And something that was confirmed in the patch notes, which I would like to cover really quickly, is that they did confirm that the Mythic drop chance specifically for Andariel and Duriel was going to be higher than the drop chance for the rest of the bosses. Trying to find that really quick for you guys. Yes, right here. Duriel and Andariel do not guarantee mythic item drops, but their chance to drop mythic items is twice as high as the other tormented bosses. This is something that they had changed in Season 5 and made it so that all the bosses were equivalent. So all the bosses had the same mythic drop rate. But in Season 6, Duriel and Andariel will have twice as high of a drop chance for mythic items as other tormented bosses. So keep that in mind as you are trying to farm your mythics, that Duriel and Andariel have a better chance of dropping them. I think that pretty much covers everything for the boss system. I really like the boss system in Diablo 4, and if you had not played Diablo 4 in quite some time, like back in Season 1 or Season 0, you probably have never seen the boss system or how it has matured over many patches. And it's definitely come a long way from when it was first introduced. There's a lot more bosses, and we also don't know if there's some surprises in Diablo 4 Season 6. Maybe there's another boss that they're going to add to the list. Maybe we'll be able to farm Mephisto or something. We don't really know yet. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals joining me for these fun videos, even when we are just going over the boss system in Diablo 4. And as always, keep watching.